Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Paul. I'm this channel to go over things that I am curious about and things that I looked into, I like to share. So with today's video, I wanted to talk about why I believe either having a currency, like having there be a finite amount of it, or having attached to something that's finite, and why that is so incredibly important for people who hold that currency, opposed to a currency that is infinite or not attached to anything in specific. So the two things that I'm going to be comparing today are fiat currencies and, if you will, let's just say gold or things like gold. So if we're going to take the dollar as a fiat currency, as probably the most popular fiat currency, and we compare it to something against gold. Okay, so one of the things that we have in the United States is there is no, technically it's not infinite because there's a technical amount of dollars out there. But with the rate that the United States likes to print and print and print through quantitative easing or whatever other names we're going to give this, technically speaking, there's an infinite amount of dollars. Not literally, but kind of, with how many there are. And so what this is going to do is decrease the value of each individual dollar, obviously, because there's more dollars out there. The big thing that I want us to pay attention to with this is when people may not even realize this in America or not, I don't know, but we have a very consumer-centric culture, very, very consumer-centric. Here's one of the, in my opinion, one of the things that drives this that people don't even, aren't even consciously aware of. So if we were to take dollars and keep them in the bank, and all the government is doing is printing galore, what that does to us is it takes away buying power, because each of the individual dollars has less and less value. So when we are being good stewards of our wealth and saving money, it is losing value now in the bank. And the people who tend to think about this the most are people who run businesses. They are either storing cash and trying to save, or they're investing. Something really, really interesting happens when the government decides to go on these spending sprees. They are actually, people who have money in the bank are actually incentivized to not keep money in the bank, because they're doing it at the risk of not being able to buy tomorrow the thing that they could buy today because they have enough money for it. And I want you to understand this, because this is the important thing, I think, with where we're going to look in the future with where currencies are going, whether there be an infinite, and I when I say infinite, I don't literally mean it, because there's not a literal infinite amount, but you get what I'm saying. Just such a surplus that something has very, very little value. But the whole policy behind these things to print, the buyer, the citizen, the holder of the currency is incentivized to actually spend money, because they may not be able to buy tomorrow what they can afford today. And so they're going to start putting it into other businesses or land or whatever else someone is, looking into, because they want their wealth to be preserved. And they're thinking too, okay, if my government is just going to keep printing this money and I put it in, like, let's say it's like a house or something like that, well, the value of that house is going to go up. Okay, so I'll just put it there. But if I just leave it in the bank, I'm going to be losing money. And this is something that I really don't think enough people think about with why we are so consumer centric, because literally it is within our own policy with the Fed as a way of stimulating the economy is to print money. One, to inject trust in the market. They're going to print money to give out loans to different banks. But two, also for the people who are savvy when in a financial sense, they're going to understand too, okay, well, if they're going to print galore, I am better to put my money somewhere else rather than hold actual dollars. So let me go to the other side now with something like gold, or a currency that is a very, very finite amount that can possibly then be spliced up, which, by the way, this is kind of where I see crypto going and why I think that there's a future there with this, is that now, if you're not going to print galore and have an infinite amount, which, by the way, I'm probably going to do another video on this too, but even technically cryptos are infinite, so it's going to purposely contradict what I'm saying in this video, but I think there's more flexibility there. Anyways, that'll be for another video, but here's what I'm saying with this one. When you have a currency or a commodity that has a finite amount, there is a stabilization of value. There's a store of value there within that thing, and people are now incentivized to hold that thing instead of spend, because they know since there is a finite amount of this stuff, a lot of times it's most likely either going to go up or at least remain the same, and if it goes down, it's not going to be by a whole lot. But when you have a currency that's backed by something like gold, now you're more incentivized to save, or like if you have gold itself or like a certain crypto, now you're more incentivized to hold on to that specific currency because you're not worried about inflation and the certain currency being devalued. And I only want to bring this up to say this. We have to start thinking about, okay, are we a consumer-centric culture solely because Americans are just straight up selfish and all we think about is money? Or is there a subconscious factor that's been going on for the past over 100 years, or depending on when you want to start things, whether 1913 or 1944, kind of whenever, that there's been a subconscious factor to say there's another policy being put in place that decade after decade after decade has run our economy and then has been taught down to the different people in our country. Therefore, we spend a lot. Therefore, we, are doing whatever with money. Are we really that selfish, or is it being influenced by something else? That's what I want us to think about. And with going into other currencies in the future or commodity, whatever you want to do for your wealth and for whatever you're going to use to trade value, start thinking about that. Is there something behind this thing that is incentivizing me to spend it or to hold it? And if so, what are those different factors? Again, I understand that I probably have some flaws even in this, and I'm even going to make a video to directly contradict this when I do talk about crypto in one of the next videos. So I'm not saying that this here is complete logic proof, but I do want us to think about the different factors. That's all I wanted to do. Let's think about the different factors that are influencing our behaviors when it comes to finances. So with that being said, let me know y'all's thoughts. If this made sense, hopefully it did make sense. If you guys followed along, and if you agree, disagree, let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next one.